Hey guys, and welcome into the newest episode of the NFL draft grades for each division. Today we're going to be heading on over to the AFC South, where we're going to be looking at the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, and of course the Titans here. If you guys do enjoy what we're doing here, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. There's 97% of viewers that do not watch these videos and are not subscribed. So we're going to need to try and get that to change. We're going to get those guys into the team. So looking at what this division did. Again, like I've said in every video, I think nobody really had a crappy draft. Um, but overall, I'm going to try and get through this as quick as possible. Some of the videos have been going longer than others. I kind of want to just get through them. Now that we're a couple of days away from the draft. The draft lore is a little bit gone, but it's still going. So we're going to try and get through these videos as quick as possible now. Starting off with the Houston Texans, where they took Ross Blacklock with their first pick in the second round here. I really like this pick. He was one of my top D tackles right after Brown and Kinlaw. So I mean, number 3 for them as well. So that's definitely understandable. It fills a pretty big need for them. Interior pass rush wasn't really too good. So he's pretty much going to be a solid guy to just stick in there. A little bit undersized for your normal D tackle, but definitely a guy who's going to wreak some havoc in the middle. So if that D line is healthy, you got Merciless and you got J.J. Watt. It's going to be pretty good pass rush through that defense. And I think that this defense is never really the weak spot for Houston. It's usually the offensive production from the missing run game, no tight end. It's pretty much just Hopkins and Watson. But looking at what they can do now with Hopkins gone, I mean, this team is in such a weird place. So Hopkins is gone. They got some guys. They got Brandon Cooks. They have David Johnson there. So the offense is looking pretty well up now. Their offensive line got fixed last year a pretty good amount. So it looks like they're pretty much ready to go. It's pretty much now the defense is the guy to start filling holes. So that's what they tried to do here, especially in round 3 where they ended up getting Jonathan Grenard out of Florida. I really like this pick. He was one of my favorite prospects in the later mid-tier rounds, basically. He's definitely going to be a good edge rusher to set the tone. I think he can learn from guys like J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless and so on and so forth. But I don't think he's going to be a guy who's going to make an immediate impact right away, be one of those beasts of a players. But I think that he's going to be definitely solid. Going on over to the 4th round, they ended up selecting Charlie Heck and John Reed in the 4th round. Offensive tackle for Charlie Heck from North Carolina. I really like this pick. Good depth. I think that he will be able to do whatever you need him to do. He's a huge guy, 6'8". I think he's going to be able to just kind of be in the backseat. If you need a rotational guy, he'll be there. Maybe in a few years he can develop into a decent offensive tackle. But right now, I think he's just a guy that, in case anything happens, you have a guy like him to step in there and fill the hole, and you're not too entirely worried about it. Then we went over to John Reed, who we were talking about already. I gotta be honest, I don't really like this pick too much because I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know if I had him on my 7th round draft class. That might be my mistake. That might be just a different thing. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember ever talking about him. So I can't really give it a solid grade or a bad grade. I don't really know exactly where his value is. But overall, I mean, getting another corner is a must. I think they should have got it a lot earlier than round 4, late round 4, but they ended up getting one. And then you go over to the 5th round where they got a guy named Isaiah Coulter, who, again, as well, don't know anything really about him. Never really had him as a draftable grade guy. They have him as the 30th ranked receiver, so that's good. So once again, like these two guys, I really don't know what I could say about them. But overall, I mean, they filled some needs in this draft class. I think they should have went after a running back in such a deep running back class. Instead of Coulter, maybe they went for Benjamin, who ended up falling to the 7th round. But overall, I mean, it's a solid draft class. If I had to grade this draft class, I'd probably give it like a B minus. Because it's not really a sexy draft class. They got some good pieces, but overall it's going to take a while for a lot of these guys to adapt to the next level. And with no high draft pick, you really would have to hit on these later guys, and they're not going to be doing that. So I think it's a solid draft class is all I can really say about that. Then we got over to the Indianapolis Colts, where with their first selection in the 2nd round, they ended up taking Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC. Now, I wasn't as big of a fan as Michael Pittman Jr. as everyone else thought. I thought he was a 2nd round grade, definitely. I thought he was more of a mid-tier grade, in my opinion. But, I mean, they needed a receiver, and they went out and they got a receiver. 6'4", 223 right there. I mean, he is going to help set the tone. You drafted Paris Campbell last year. Hopefully he's going to progress into something better. You still have T.Y. Hilton there, who hopefully can stay healthy now that he's not the only option in Indianapolis. For them, looking at the board, there's no quarterbacks really there. They were probably waiting for Love to fall to them. If Love didn't fall, then they were going to look elsewhere. Michael Pittman Jr. is a big fill for them. They needed a receiver. That was one of their biggest needs, if not the biggest need, and they ended up getting one, and a solid one. And then they come back around a couple picks later and end up selecting Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. Now, I love this pick. Now, what does this mean for, that crowded backfield of, they have, everybody. They have Jordan Wilkins. They have Marlon Mack, who is the premier back. I feel like there's another one I'm missing who's filled in a lot too. But when you look at what Jonathan Taylor can do, he is going to be the main back. I don't know what that means for Marlon Mack's future. I don't know what that means for anyone's future. But Jonathan Taylor is the best back in college football last year. And I think he was my favorite running back coming into this draft class. It was him and Swift. I had him ranked a little bit ahead of Swift, but I knew Swift would go earlier than Taylor. But looking at it, getting this kind of talent is insane. He's one of the best college running backs of all time, based on what his production was at Wisconsin. But to get him there, I really like the pick. I don't know what it means for Marlon Mack. I like the fit, but I don't really like the fit based on they already had Mack, who I really like as a running back. So it's a little bit weird, but overall, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a beast of a running back. So those are two amazing picks within the top 10 of round 2. Then they go ahead and take Julian Blackmon here in the late 3rd round, who I think is going to fill a big hole for them. They need secondary help. Their secondary's kind of been lackluster. We've seen a lot of injuries. Malik Hooker's been down. Gaithers was down a while. So getting a guy like Blackmon, he's going to be able to kind of just rotate into that role when he needs to be. Doesn't need to be started right away, in my opinion, but he can be if he needs to be. He's just kind of that guy where you can do what you want to do. You can move him around where you want him to because he's a little undersized. You can kind of just move him around. Wherever you want him to put him, he can go. So I'd like this pick from them out of Utah. Then they go ahead in the 4th round and take a guy who many thought they could have taken in the 2nd, and that was Jacob Eason out of Washington. Big quarterback. He's going to sit back behind Philip Rivers and learn. I think this is probably the end for Philip and Brissett, unless Brissett is okay with taking a backup role, which, looking at the NFL right now, the NFL is pretty stacked with quarterbacks right now. There's not really too many teams that need a quarterback. So when you go and you look, if Jacob Eason takes the job next year after a good year, like backing up Philip Rivers, maybe Brissett's like, hey, I still want to stay in Indy. I'll be his backup if we need him to do. That would be great for them. But this guy, especially 4th round value for a guy who I think was a 2nd round, 3rd round grade. I really like that. Big quarterback. He's got a lot of upside. He's got a lot to give you. So I really like what they got from Eason here. Then we go over to the 5th round where they took Danny Pinter, the guard, out of Ball State. Ball State University, baby. Once again, I like the pick. This is a good fit for them. This is where they need. Anytime you can help out the offensive line is a blessing for me. With how great of an offensive line you have in Indianapolis, getting another guy to be a depth piece to where you can groom him to where if somebody does go down with an injury, you're not going to notice it as big as of, you just had some scrub that you signed as UDFA backing him up, So that's very good. They went ahead and had 4 6th-round selections after that, and I'll go through them all really quick. Robert Windsor, Isaiah Rodgers, Desmond Patton, Jordan Glasgow. There, I went through them. No, I'm just kidding. Glasgow I really liked out of Michigan. I think that's a good value for them to get more linebacking play. Just because I think that they're kind of still trying to figure out. It's a very young linebacking core. They're trying to figure out where everyone's going to go. Desmond Patton's going to be solid as probably a wide receiver 4 or 5. Even though it's a late round value, I think that he has that upside for them just because of that size and ability. At Washington State, he had Anthony Gordon and he had, Gardner Minshew. So he's had 2 pretty solid arms in college football. Isaiah Rodgers, once again, another corner depth. Anytime you get more corners, you add him to your team. And then Robert Windsor, this is about where I saw him going as well. Just another D tackle to kind of fill in the hole. So overall, when you look at the draft class, I think they could have went after an edge rusher, maybe a tight end too, just because it's such a deep tight end class and they were starting to fall. They do have those listed at the top as well. But when you look at this, they end up getting a lot of good depth pieces. They got the quarterback of the future most likely, and they got the best running back in the class, in my opinion. And you look at, they filled the biggest need on their team, and that was receiver. So I got to give this one an A. Not an A+, just because there's nothing that really screwed off the board. Like, wow, they did not do anything wrong. But an A definitely because they filled all the needs. They got their depth pieces in the late rounds. There's not many mistakes they made here. There's just nothing that was like, holy crap, how is this possible that they did all of these great things, So overall, great draft, A grade for the Indianapolis Colts. Then we go over to the Jacksonville Jaguars here. C.J. Henderson with pick 9. I thought in my mock draft I had them getting Isaiah Simmons. Once Isaiah Simmons went, I was like, they're getting C.J. Henderson. There's no way in hell they pass up on him, and they didn't. I really like C.J. Henderson. He's grown a lot on me throughout these past months. I think that he's just absolute beast, man to man. People worry about his tackling. They worry about every corner's tackling when they come out. It's not a concern. Don't worry about it. So C.J. Henderson in the first round, I mean, that's an A-plus pick. That's a perfect pick for them. They go back in the late first round and pick 20. They get Kayvon Chaisson out of LSU. And I don't like Chaisson that much as a prospect, just as a personal thing. There's just things I think that he has a very high bust potential, in my opinion. But if he produces how he was at LSU and he keeps continuing to do it, and he's not a bust, he's exactly what you get out of him, then that is a very, very good pick. And it's going to help out the edge a lot, especially with Yannick Ngakoue on his way out and just the whole defensive line. Calais Campbell getting on the move as well. It's just been a weird few years for Jacksonville fans. So definitely a huge get there from Kayvon Chaisson. Then in early round 2, they end up taking Laviska Shenault Jr. out of Colorado, one of the most talented receivers in this draft class, top 5 for sure. It's just injuries have kind of held him back from being an absolute stud, but his upside is insane. He has that Stephon Diggs kind of type of play, and even has a college career kind of like Stephon Diggs, to where he kind of fell in the draft because of injuries and ended up becoming one of the best receivers in NFL. So getting a guy like Laviska Shenault, if you can help him stay healthy, him and DJ Shark will be absolute, I mean, insanity to watch, especially if you keep Gardner Minshew and he progresses as a better quarterback. I mean, now you have the most entertaining things to watch. Is Gardner Minshew, this entertaining guy, throwing to Shenault, Westbrook, Chark. I mean, even got Tyler Eifert. It's a solid offense. So I really like what they did here with Shenault. I didn't expect him to go that early because of the injuries, but for him to go that early, I was A-okay with it. I love the pick. Then we go over to the third round when they end up taking Davon Hamilton out of Ohio State. Again, another guy, just solid pick. Get some defensive line depth. They needed a defensive tackle. They get one in the third round. It was a deep class. There was no need to reach on one of the best guys, especially with Kinlaw gone at 20. I thought they could have went Kinlaw at 9 or 20. Once they went Henderson and he was gone, I was A-okay with them passing up on a D tackle for a while. So getting a guy like Hamilton, he's going to be able to play right away, in my opinion. And they're going to run away with it. That's going to be good. I think in a few years he'll be a lot better than what he will look like on his rookie year. He might get bullied around a little bit, but he will progress into something, I think, pretty special. Going over to the fourth round, they have 3 selections here. There's a lot of selections here from the Jags, but Ben Bartch out of St. John's, a very good offensive tackle. He's going to progress into something very, very good. He gained a lot of weight when he went to St. John's. I think he went there as a tight end, ended up coming out at 309 as a tackle. But he has a lot of upside. If you haven't seen him, you probably saw his little clip of him making his smoothie at the combine. So he's definitely a guy that can progress into something good. And obviously right now you have Cameron Robinson and you have Jawan Taylor as tackles, and I think those are solid, but Cam Robinson really hasn't proven too much. Maybe you even try Cam Robinson at guard, see if he plays a little bit better than what he's done at left tackle, and maybe Ben Bartch can slip into that role and do a lot better than that. But we'll see what actually happens there. I love the pick, though. Josiah Scott out of Michigan State in the 4th round, and Shaq Quarterman to end out the 4th round. Both solid picks. More cornerback depth. You lost a lot of corners. You need more corners. Great. And then you get a linebacker in Shaquille Quarterman, who I think is a little bit underrated in this draft class. I think he's got a lot of talent to show. So to get him here, I like the pick. Going over to the 5th round, Daniel Thomas out of Auburn. Didn't even have him on my draft, I don't believe so. Can't really speak too much about the prospect, but like I said, they need more secondary, and that's going to help them out. Colin Johnson in the 5th round, huge receiver. Huge receiver. I think he's 6'6". So, yeah, he is 6'6". So, it's a big target, man. You already have Chark, who's 6'4". You already have D.D. Westbrook, who's a great route runner, a pretty solid big receiver. You had Shenault, who's a big play guy, can beat you with speed, isn't the shortest. And then you get Colin Johnson, who's 6'6". I mean, this is a tall receiving class that they have in Jacksonville, and I love what they can do with it. They end up taking Jake Luton out of Oregon State in the 6th round. I'm kind of torn between the picks. I think there's better quarterbacks available, but for them to take a quarterback, I understand it. Gardner was your backup. And now he's your starter, so now you need a backup for Gardner. And I like the Jake Luton pick here. Then we go into the 6th round. Tyler Davis at Georgia Tech. Nothing to complain about. Add some more tight end depth. Use him on special teams. Use him as a long snapper if you need to. Whatever you need to do. And then Chris Claybooks in the last round out of Memphis. Again, just another guy to add to the corner room. Nothing too bad. So when you look at this as a whole, I give this one an A as well. Like I said, nothing that's just like, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with this class. There's definitely things they could have went, but I like the Colin Johnson pick in the late 5th round. Shaq Quarterman, I really like as well. Ben Bartch is a solid pick. Hamilton, I think, is going to progress into something good in a few years. Their first 3 picks were very solid as well. So I like what Jacksonville did. I'm giving this one an A as well. Now we got to go over to the Tennessee Titans. And they did not have the longest of drafts, but they had a very solid draft. Just 7 picks for them, but Isaiah Wilson in the first round. Now, it was a little bit of a reach. I don't think Isaiah Wilson was a first rounder, but they need a right tackle. They wanted to fill right tackle. They didn't want to progress anybody to switch. They didn't want to do any of that. So getting Isaiah Wilson, I like the pick. I think it's a good fit. So let's run away with that one and let's do well. Then in the end of the second round, not the end of the first round, but the end of the second round, they select Christian Fulton out of LSU, who's one of my top 5 corners in the draft class. I can't believe he was still there, and for them to sneak up and grab him was absolutely huge. I mean, they lost Logan Ryan, so they needed to fill a corner hole, but I don't think it was the biggest need that they had. But I mean, I wouldn't pass up on Christian Fulton that late either. He had some off the field issues at LSU, but I didn't think it was that concerning to where he had to go a full round after his value. So Christian Fulton is an absolute steal of a pick here out of LSU for the Titans. Darrington Evans, the running back out of Appalachian State, I mean, he's going to help complement what Dion Lewis did for Derrick Henry last year. Now that Dion Lewis is in New York, he's a speedy back. He's completely opposite of what Derrick Henry is. He's small, he's speedy. Derrick Henry is obviously huge, not the fastest, but can power through everybody. So he's going to be able to line up, catch passes out of the backfield, do that kind of stuff. Laurel Murchison at NC State in the 5th round, late 5th round. Really like this pick as well. Add great depth. You lost Jarrell Casey, obviously, this year to the Broncos. Getting a guy like him is going to help out. He's going to have to progress. Obviously, 5th rounders aren't usually ones that can just start away. But I think he's going to be able to be somebody that in a few years can be a starting caliber player through learning and just progression and getting to the NFL level and kind of just understanding how it all works. Then we go over to the 7th round where they really did have a great pick here in Cole McDonald out of Hawaii. I think he has so much upside, especially if you can make sure that he is surrounded the right way and learns the right way. You just paid Tannehill a big bag, so that's obviously a great thing. But you know, Tannehill has had injury concerns throughout his career, and you know, going into the season he was a backup. So for them to lock him down long term, as much as I love Tannehill, I think Tannehill is a great quarterback. You do have the injury concerns, and you do have the potential that hey, maybe that was just a 1-year wonder. I don't think it was, but any quarterback depth that you can get, I think Cole McDonald can win that backup spot. Make sure that he is there, and I think he can learn a lot from Tannehill. And if ever his number gets called, I think he can step in and not do too shabby. So Cole McDonald out of Hawaii, definitely solid. And then at the very end of the 7th round, they end up taking Chris Jackson, a safety out of Marshall. Again, not a guy who I had on my draft board, but definitely some help in the secondary is always needed. So when you look at what they did, their team needs on the top for ESPN, they didn't fill. But overall, I think that they filled the team needs that I think they needed. They could have used another edge rusher, obviously because Cam Wake isn't going to be there for much longer. I think he might have retired or something. I don't even know if he's there right now. And I believe in Jonnu Smith. I don't see tight end as a need. So I think I would have gotten an edge rusher if I were them. But overall, these selections are very good selections. I mean, this one I can't complain about. I'm going to give it an A+. When you look at it, they got a right tackle. You know, he would have went early 2nd round in my opinion. So it's not as huge of a reach as people are making it out to be. They got a right tackle to fill Conklin's hole. They got one of the best corners in the class in the late 2nd round. They got a complimentary back to Derrick Henry, which you kind of need in that offense. That's why Dion Lewis was so versatile for them in that offense. Murchison's a great D tackle to have on your defense to be a depth piece. And then you go into the 7th round, you get a backup quarterback, you get another safety. I think it's a solid thing. And you get UDFAs coming in as well. So overall, I think this is an A+ draft. I don't think they did anything wrong in this draft class. I think that everything they did was a solid pick. So I really like what Tennessee did here. But that's going to be it for the video. So if you guys did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you are new. If you're part of the 97% of viewers that watch these videos and do not subscribe, what are you doing? Join the team and make sure you do subscribe. And like I said, if you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button. If you didn't, refresh the page, check it out again, and let me know what you think the second time. And without further ado, that is going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.